What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's episode, we're going back a little bit. So one of the first few videos that really kind of helped accelerate this channel to what it is, I talked about the Harbor Freight Winch. So today, we're going to do it one more time. So everybody always says, why did you buy a Harbor Freight Winch? It's a piece of junk, it's full of Chinese parts, it's not reliable. I beg to differ, folks. So the reason I went with this winch, I always said, if you're like a mechanic, right, and you depend on your tools every day to make you money, yeah, you should go out and buy the more high dollar tool. But if you're just a backyard mechanic having a good time, you don't need to go out and buy the most expensive tool. So with the Jeep, I've had this winch for a year or two now. I've only used it about a handful of times. So why should I go out and spend $1,500 on a winch that I'm not going to use? The Harbor Freight Winch is where I went with this. I got it for about 300 bucks, and I've had no issues with it since I got it. Now, like I said, I've only used it 4 or 5 times, but each time I needed it, it's been there for me. And as far as the Chinese parts that are inside this winch, well, the Chinese parts are also inside your Warren winches and all that kind of stuff. Google it. I already did, and that's what I found. So whether it's Chinese parts here, there, or everywhere, who knows? You know, it is what it is, I guess, but I'm not going to spend $1,500 on a winch that I'm only going to use a couple times a year, right? This one's been good for me. Every time I've needed it, it's been there. But today, we're going to do another upgrade to it. The wireless winch controller for it. Now, if you are going to do this, you have to make sure this one here is made for the Badland winch, which is what I'm running. Now, if you have the Apex winch, you will have to get the other one because apparently they're not compatible. So just make sure if you go to the store and you get this, you're going to have to get the right one. So I paid about 40 bucks for this, you know, plus or minus tax on it. So wherever you're at, it's where your price is going to be, but figure about 40 bucks. Now don't get me wrong, I've got the plug-in cord and all that, and it works fine. But to have the winch controller on a wireless, I don't know, it's just one of those things, well, why not? It's 40 bucks, let's give it a shot, you know? So what I plan on doing with the remote is mounting it inside the cab right next to the shifter with some Velcro. So that way if I do have to get out and walk somewhere, I can just pull this thing out and it comes with me. But when I'm in the vehicle, I got the button control right there where I need it, and we're good to go. So you can hard mount this. It's got 4 holes on it. We're not going to do that. What I'm concerned about is maybe water gets in this thing, shorts it out, or whatever. I don't know. Plus, I don't want to drill any more holes in everything, so we're just going to use the old zip ties, and that should be good to go. All right, so we're going to get a better little look at this thing here. So basically, it just comes with the remote, the box module, and this cord. Now, this cord does plug into the factory location on the winch. It doesn't seem to be a very long cord. Let's open it up and see. Okay, so there's your cord there. I'd say that's probably about 2 foot worth. So it is a pretty sealed up unit. Like I said, I'm only worried that maybe for some reason water gets in this thing and does short it out. Well, if I drill holes and mount it, maybe I want to move it somewhere else. So for right now, we're going to zip tie it down up underneath the bumper. I'll show you where that's going, but pretty straightforward install. So let's go ahead and get started on this and see how it works. All right, so everybody's mounting locations will be a little different, of course. So on mine, on the back side of the bumper down here, we got plenty of room. So we're gonna mount it right in here on the back side so that it's protected from getting hit. It's on the front of the vehicle, so it should get good transmission signal. And like I said, I don't want to hardwire this thing or hard mount it just yet, because if something goes wrong, I want to be able to take it out, replace it, or if I don't even like it, this way it's just super easy. But if I was to hard mount it, I would probably just move it over here, set up my holes where I want them, drill it, mount it there, and be done with it. So for now, we're just going to put it right here. I'll run another zip tie up under here on the other side, and the cord's long enough. Make sure your cord reaches where you need it to go before you go zip tying it, or however you want to do it. So, but that's it. She'll live back here. and it should be good. As far as mounting it way up in the engine bay, there's not a whole lot of room in the Cherokees, so that's why I just kind of opted for right here. Plus that cord, with it being only about 2 foot, to get it back here on the back side of the grill would just be a big old pain in the ass, really. So perfect spot for it. If you see down in there, it comes out from down there. We will clean this cord up. As far as routing goes, it's very simple. I'm just running it right up through here. Pull your cap off. Line up the keyway on it. Plug her in. So, fairly simple. Alright, so now that we got that plugged in, wires all tucked away. If you're familiar with my other video where I did the upgrade and the winch and all that stuff, there's 2 videos on it. But when I put this in, this comes with like its own little breaker piece. I threw that away and I put in this here. It's actually a resettable circuit breaker, so I can actually control when the winch has power. So normal driving around town, all that kind of stuff, I leave it off. If I know I'm going to be hitting a trail or it's getting kind of dicey, I'll hop out, switch it on. That way, if there's ever like an accident or something, there's not power up here, and I'm not going to have sparking or arcing of power shooting everywhere if I do hit somebody or something like that. So yeah, that's an upgrade I highly recommend. Put it on a breaker switch. It is resettable, so we should be good. Let's give it a shot. Alright, so the box claims that it can work to a range up to 50 feet. So I got the Jeep way out there at the end of the driveway, and I measured out for my tape measure to the receiver is 50 foot. So keep your eye right there on the soft shackle. Let's see if it moves. So I'll stand back here. I'm actually past it, the 50 foot, so let's see. Yep. So that's over 50 foot, so that ain't terrible. But let's see how far it'll actually go. Single take on this. We got controller hooked up, winch line set. Nobody's in the Jeep, nobody's running the controller but me. Nobody's home, nobody's in here. I got the line running all the way down the side of the house to the backyard. I'll go stand in the farthest corner. I measured it out, it's about 150, 200 foot. I have tied it to the bumper. I'm gonna go stand back there and hit the button. There's a remote. Let's go. Oh, just a show. I'll hit it. Okay, bumper's moving. So, see the Jeep still out front. That's about 200 foot from the front to my backyard. Not bad, all right? 50 foot was here, doubled it to 100 foot to the backyard, went all the way to the farthest end of the property. I don't live on a farm or anything, but I would have done it down the street, but somebody would have probably drove through and ran it over. But from my front yard to my backyard, that's probably got to be about 200 foot. So when the kit says it's good for up to range up to 50 foot, that ain't bad. Now, granted, you know, like I said, I'm gonna put some Velcro on the back of this and mount it inside the Jeep just next to the shifter column. It would have been really cool if I could get like a 3D printer and then print like a switch so I could put it in the steering wheel, since I don't use those buttons anyway, but I don't have one of those, so we're just gonna have to make do. So I will put the button by the shifter so it's inside the vehicle so I can have control of it while I'm inside. I will still keep the cable connection just because you never know. I just throw it in my bag, my recovery bag, and if something goes wrong with this or the batteries go dead on it and you're out there and you're relying on this only, you're going to be in some trouble. So I will keep the old cable one in my recovery bag, but this will be my go-to for now. Putting it on the dash, I think will be on the shifter, will be pretty cool. So, but that's not bad for when it says it's good up to 50 feet and I'm in the backyard at 200 foot out. You know, not, I guess, I don't know if you call it an unobstructed view because I got the house in the way, but whatever. So let's get this thing back up here and we'll talk about it some more. All right, well, we got her back in here. Like I said, what I'll do now is just reach down here, trip the breaker, power's off. Shouldn't work. Yep, see? So when I'm not using it, just cut the power to it. And that way I just don't have to worry about anything. But let me show you on the inside here where I'm talking about mounting it. Like I said, it'd be cool if I had like a 3D printer that I could take one of these out and put, you know, a spool in, spool out button right here. Because I don't use these. Since I did the wheel upgrade, I don't typically use cruise control in this thing because it's not geared for it. And it just winds up racing through the gears. So to get the controller that would keep these things working, I'm not going to do it. So like I said, if I had a 3D printer or something, it'd be awesome to have controls for the winch right here. But in the meantime, I think what I'll do is I'll just Velcro it, just probably like right down here next to the shifter, so it's easily accessible. Thought about doing it like up here, but that just kind of looks goofy, and I don't know, I just prefer it to be kind of down here out of the way. So, but I mean, simple upgrade, super easy to put in, 40 bucks at Harbor Freight. Like I said in the beginning, if you have the Badlands or you have the Apex, you have to make sure you get the right one because these are not universal. So just make sure if you do get this, get the right one. But other than that, all mounting is going to be relatively the same. It's going to have to be within, measure out at least, I would say no more than a foot, foot and a half away from the winch itself. Figured that's where you're going to have to mount that cord. Because once you start routing it in things, it is going to reduce the length. So just be prepared for that. Like I said, I just zip tied mine right up there behind the bumper. And whatever happens to it, really. I can't mount it up high because there's not enough room in the engine bay for it. But if it works and it continues to work, I might think about just cutting the zip tie off, drilling some bolt holes in the backside of the bumper, and then hard mounting it up there. But you never know. Electronics, sometimes they get wet, sometimes they stay fine, other times they fry out. So we're just going to kind of take it as it goes. Cool little upgrade, something I've thought about doing for a long time. I just happened to be wandering around the store one day and I saw it on the shelf and decided, you know what, let's just go ahead and do it. So if you guys are thinking about doing it, like it says it's good for up to 50 feet, but it went out all the way to my backyard, which is roughly about 200 foot. And yeah, cool little upgrade for 40 bucks. So if you're in the market, head on down there to Harbor Freight. I'm not sponsored by them, but I am just saying if that's what you want to do, it's a nice upgrade. I kind of like it. So, but that's going to do it for this video. We got plenty more to come. We still got projects for this. We still got to get the Mustang down here, as you can see, with the Jeep kind of in the garage. There's no car in there yet, but working on getting that thing down here and getting started on it. So it ought to be pretty cool. But you guys, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.